because the desires of His heart, all our heart, we want to be in His presence continually. Whatever's going to take to get there, because you know you get hungry on the inside. There's a place in us that's just not going to be satisfied. I don't care. And you can't go very long now. That's why we learned in our own homes, in our jobs, or wherever you're standing, you be right in the presence of God. God, if you don't do something right now, I know this person needs something, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm not in a place where I can, really minister to them. I need some power. I need a power hookup. We know what the scriptures say. We're understanding that. But there's just something that needs to click over on the inside of us that gives us that power. We're not sure if we need to ignite that power because we're anointed. And then we get the grace for what we're supposed to do. But then our mind kind of tries to override. When our mind overrides, then we learn we don't get where we need to go. Just like, a lot of times we're in the presence of the Lord here. You're in a place, in a position where you can allow God to take you where He wants you to take you. And you say, okay, take me where you want me to go. Take me there where you want me to be, so I can feed from wherever the vein is coming out of this holy city. You're going and you're drinking that water. We're eternally living. We're not going to die. People they just don't get that thing. Life is not the outside skin. The life is in the blood, in your blood, and we're never going to die. It's such an we are such an eternal being that I can't even wrap my brain around that sometimes. So that I really let my heart be wrapped around that. We're eternal. You're never going to die. We're never going to die. And Daddy God, it talks about that He has a soul too. Daddy has a soul. Because His passions, His desires are just like ours. He made us just like Him. We thought we were just equipped with a soul. We were the odd man out down here and God was just a spirit. No, He has a soul too. He has desires too. Because He talks about it in Israel. He was grieved with Israel. He was angry with Israel. And that takes a soul. It takes a mind, will, and emotion. And He has a strong will. And He's taught us about the will. But it's our belief system from our heart. Because He wants us to operate out of our heart. But He's working at getting this heart, which is desperately wicked. Because as soon as Adam and Eve had to step outside the garden, we all went with them. Because we were the seed. We were their seed. So we're outside the garden. We can't get back inside the garden until we believe what it is that God says about us. Then when we receive Christ, we already have a faith in us, planted in there. Then that has to get ignited. And then we grow up into maturity. And we find the different prophets, they came into maturity where they were at that time, where they believed and understood about how the power was and how they were supposed to ignite the power. But we're on beyond that, because they weren't the full power. Jesus is full power, so we're anointed by Jesus. Jesus is in us, so we're full powered up. But again, He has to work us through these things, because He's not going to let us go until the integrity of our hearts. Just like Joseph. Joseph was thrown in a pit by his brothers. We were thrown in a pit by our brothers, sisters, some of them. Mine, in my case, was my older and younger sisters. They threw me in the pit. They were trying to do these things working with me, like Cinderella. You stay back, you clean. No, I'm going, all that kind of stuff. And that worked in your family too. And we found out, are we the lesser or are we the better? Or you're telling me I'm the head and not the tail. So mine's telling me, okay, well, I shouldn't be in this position. Joseph was saying, well, I shouldn't be in a position. And then he was thrown in prison because of Potiphar's wife. He had the integrity, because if he hadn't had the integrity, he would have went headed with the temptation. So God's working us through all these temptations and getting us to the place where, we can be held in prison. Okay, now you have the gift. All right, are you going to use the gift? Okay, you have the dream. The two men have the dream. You can interpret dreams. Okay, we have the prophecy. We have the gifts. We're being operating the gifts. But still, okay, we're still stuck in this prison. What's the problem? Because then we find out it's God's timing for us to come for such a time as this, out and ready to now receive the brothers and sisters back in. And then went through the process of what it is. Okay, the dad's there. You saw through Joseph's life, through the dads and brothers, there were situations that He works out with our families too. Because we can't just drop the families off unless God says move them out of the way. We have to still continue dealing with them. Even with some of the people, you know, back in the churches we were in, they're coming in, you know, some of them are having flesh fits over the counter, you know, trying to talk me and get me through this thing and help me with this situation, help me with that situation. And I'm like, I don't have a clue where this situation is. And right now my situation is in what my spirit's going through, my soul. It's like, I don't even want to help you. I'm trying to get to this place in God where I want to get to. And right now, I'm trying to focus on me. So then you have to put that thing down in you. You know, so it's a continual struggle. And then God is struggling with us to get us into that place too. Because we have a will of our own. And you know what? He's made space for all of that. Every bit of it, He knows exactly how to persuade you. He knows exactly where you're going to go. He knows exactly, because you know what? He formed and created you to be where you're going to be now, because He's going to be using you in those places. And it's going to take great grace. And I was reading it, and kind of, we were talking about those things in amongst, at the beginning, before prayer, was Romans 3. And most of the time, most people will go ahead and read Romans. They get familiar with salvation because of Romans, because of the Roman road. But some of the things about Romans, it takes a little bit of what Brother James is saying about really studying and getting understanding and hearing it over and over again till it works out the leaven out of you, the carnality out of you, the nature that doesn't receive all the believing of God out of you. It'll work it out. The Word of God works it on out of you until you really don't have any doubt, fear, and unbelief, but you don't know where to position everything. You know, it's just too much information. That's just like having a child walk into this big old, remember the old Collier's encyclopedia books? You used to walk in here and think, you know, what do I do with all that? I mean, I can look up something, I look at the pictures, even the words, like, what's this all for? I mean, it doesn't make sense. But then when you start getting into high school and stuff, you find out, well, I gotta learn that, I gotta write this essay. I found out that the information is pertinent for me, you know, passing and getting a promotion in God. And this information is pertinent for us to get our promotion in God. And then when you get to a place where you're going to be promoted and you're right at the door, there's many adversaries outside the door. We talked about that tonight. How that God has to give us the information. And, you know, knowing that it's the principalities and powers of wickedness in this area and over different people's lives that they can't even go through, because that stuff has to be battled through. So we know that sometimes we can't help people. We just have to stand back and pray for them. Say, God, send somebody or get them to the place where they now want to surrender. This is a surrendering part that we're at right now. But verse 10. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. I want to invite you tonight to be seeking God for salvation. You say, well, at one point in time I received Jesus into my life. But I'm telling you, there's more to what God has for you in and through Jesus' name. It's above all names, but He is everything. The salvation part is so intricate. There's so much that He wants to do in and through you. That He's brought you to this place. And if you listen to the Word tonight, there is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. A lot of times we weren't really seeking God. He was seeking us out. The calling and repentance all took place when we received Christ, but those gifts and calling were already upon us. God had already predestinated. He's actually predestinated everybody. But people have to want it. People have to receive it. They have to believe for it and know that they're desperate. They can't be like this. And now God's allowing, even our economy, to position people in a place where, you know what, I can't live like this. I'm not used to that. I got to do what I need to do. You know, how's it going to happen? And finally, they're looking up. They're asking God, okay, God, what do I need to do? We have people every day asking us, what can I do? How can I do this? Please pray for me. And now they're wanting you to stand there and pray with them. Because they know it's not going to be just a quick fix. They know that they're going to have a lifestyle change. Because God has positioned them like that. Verse 12, they are all gone out of the way. They're together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. So that tells me that all of us need Christ. We're all in the same boat. We were in that boat that was tossed to and fro. And sometimes we feel like we're still in that boat. Because things aren't the way that we see them and the way we want them to be. And we know that God has more for us. So then we're going to keep pushing past this.